Today, we're diving into something pretty amazing. We're going to look at a single day that might have just completely redrawn the economic map for Cambodia, one of Southeast Asia's most interesting and dynamic countries.
It's a huge question, right? We tend to think of history as this long, slow burn. But what if a country could make a series of bold, strategic moves, all announced at once, that create a total shockwave of change?
Well, for Cambodia, that day was October 27th, 2025. It was a day that saw this incredible flurry of announcements touching on everything from global trade all the way down to local security. So let's break down exactly what went down.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to walk through the 4 monumental shifts that all happened on this one day. First, a major trade pivot with the US. Then, a landmarked peace deal with Thailand. Third, a new security alliance with South Korea. And finally, a massive injection of cash into the domestic economy. And then, we'll tie it all together to really understand the new Cambodian playbook.
First up, the big one. This was a complete reset of Cambodia's trade relationship with the United States. And I'm not talking about a minor tweak here. This was a fundamental shift in direction.
So, the heart of this new deal really comes down to this number, 19%. This is the new standard tariff that's going to be applied to most Cambodian goods, think clothing, furniture, you name it, heading into the US. For an economy that's so driven by exports, a change like this is a really, really big deal.
Now, they're calling this deal reciprocal, which basically means it's a two-way street. Cambodia agreed to drop its tariffs to 0 on U.S. industrial and farm products. In exchange, most of its stuff now faces that 19% tariff in the U.S., though, the door is still open for some specific items to maybe get a 0% rate down the line. It's a classic trade-off, really.
But wait, the trade deal wasn't the only news from the US. On the exact same day, America announced it was lifting its long-standing arms embargo on Cambodia. This is huge, both symbolically and practically. It's a clear signal that relations are normalizing, and it paves the way for much deeper security cooperation and tech investment.
So, while Cambodia was busy securing its global partnerships, it was also making some major moves to stabilize things right in its own backyard. And that brings us to the second massive shift of the day.
You can almost see the dominoes falling here. On October 27th, Cambodia and Thailand signed this landmark peace declaration. That leads to an immediate withdrawal of heavy weapons from their shared border. And the result? Well, the cross-border risk plummets, which is exactly the kind of signal that foreign investors love to see. And you don't have to take my word for it. Analysts jumped on this immediately. This quote from the Thai media really hits the nail on the head. You simply can't have a booming cross-border economy with factories, logistics, and tourism if things aren't stable. This peace deal lays that essential foundation.
Okay, so Cambodia's reset its ties with a global superpower and made peace with its biggest neighbor. The third shift of the day was all about getting its own house in order, really cleaning things up to protect its partners and boost its reputation. And that's where the Korea Task Force comes in. Also announced on October 27th, this is a joint operation with South Korea. It's set to launch in November, and its whole mission is to crack down on those scam operations and other transnational crimes that have become a really serious problem for foreign nationals in the region.
And the goal here is pretty simple. They want to completely transform the country's risk profile. By getting proactive and tackling crime head-on, Cambodia is aiming to lower those regulatory and security risks, which, in turn, makes the country a way safer and more attractive place to do business.
All right, so we've covered all the external moves, but the final piece of this incredible October 27th puzzle was all about the domestic engine, a massive plan to pour fuel on Cambodia's own economic fire.
And when I say fuel, I mean it. Check out this number. The planned government spending for 2026 is an eye-watering 14.32 trillion won. That's over 10 billion US dollars. A number that big sends a clear signal. We are all in on public investment.
So where is all that money going? Straight into the bedrock of a modern economy. We're talking new roads, upgraded power grids, better water systems, and all the digital infrastructure you need to run a government in the 21st century. This is nation building. Big time. And, as if all that wasn't enough for one day, the government also greenlit new tax treaties with Laos and the Philippines. Now, what these do, in simple terms, is they stop companies from getting taxed twice on the same income. It might sound like a small detail, but it makes a huge difference when you're trying to attract foreign investment.
So, you've got 4 massive announcements crammed into a single 24-hour period. Let's step back,
put all the pieces together, and figure out what this new Cambodian playbook actually looks like in the real world. Because at the end of the day, these high-level policy changes don't mean much unless they actually change things on the ground. So what does this all mean for businesses, for investors, for anyone paying attention to the region?
Well, it boils down to an immediate action list. If you're exporting to the US, you've got to recalculate your pricing. If you're a company operating inside Cambodia, it's time to update your risk protocols. For investors, you need to review your tax structures. And for anyone in construction or engineering, start keeping a very close eye on those public tenders.
And when you put it all together like this, you can see it so clearly. This wasn't just a random collection of announcements. These 4 ships are all part of one single coherent strategy. Lock down your global trade, stabilize your neighborhood, clean up at home, and invest heavily in your own future. It's a masterclass in de-risking a country to prime it for growth.
Which leaves us with one final and pretty exciting question. By making all these bold moves in a single day, by basically clearing the decks of old problems and laying this brand new foundation, has Cambodia just positioned itself to become Southeast Asia's next huge economic success story? We'll have to wait and see.